right. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your lunch and time off. Okay, we've got just about everybody back now. I'm going to take my attendance real quick. So this is your reminder that we do have a math test tomorrow. Math test tomorrow, so you need to make sure you have all of your practice buddies and quick checks done and be prepared for that tomorrow. Also, the gifted and talented applications are due on Friday. If you would like to apply for any of those things, visual art, dance, drama, music, you need to make sure you finish those applications, okay? Yes, Sylvia.
When you say like applications, do you mean like for the Google form or the part where like you make a Flipgrid video to show them?
The Google form that you fill out. Yeah. Yep. That's what needs to get done by Friday. I think the actual auditions and things are not due until later dates. But the initial application saying that you would like to be gifted and talented in one of those areas, those are due Friday. So let's get those done. I would love to brag. I would love to brag on how many of my students in my classroom are gifted and talented. But I don't need to brag about that. I already know it. Okay, let's see who we've got. Do we have everybody this afternoon? We've got Fatima here. And how about Graham? Graham is here. And Gus. And Riley. And Evie. How about Jackson? We've got Jackson. And Maggie. And how about Chloe? Is Chloe here? Okay, no Chloe yet. We're waiting on her. Dom is here. Lila is here. Keon is here. Mateo and Edwin and Savannah and Camilla. Sylvia, Hayden, and Elise. Awesome. Everybody's here except for we're just waiting on Chloe. All right, hopefully she will get here soon. And we will get into some science. So just everybody needs to remember all of those announcements. Test tomorrow. Also, the choice board in the mornings really needs to be getting done. A lot of you have not been doing the choice board. Some of you have, and that's amazing. But some of you have not been doing the choice board. So I really need everybody to be working on those choice board assignments each week. They are important, especially now. Each week is going to have some vocabulary words from Blood on the River, now that we're reading that. So you need to make sure you are getting that done. I might have to start tracking people down who aren't doing the choice board, and then you can come to my meetings super early in the mornings. Speaking of super early in the mornings, we might start doing some things before 8:45. I might pull some small groups in the morning before 8:45. We had a staff meeting yesterday, and Dr. Fine was asking, was talking about what we were doing in that time from 8 to 8:45. She reminded all of the teachers that that is technically school hours from 8 to 8:45. That is technically the school day. So Dr. Fine, our wonderful principal, has reminded all the teachers that if we do need to be pulling small groups or pulling individual students for some reteaching or extra practice in the mornings before 8:45, that we should be doing that. So keep an eye out. I might start pulling some of you all early in the mornings. So be ready for that. But also, let's get those choice boards done, okay? Let's get those choice boards done in the mornings so I don't have to track you down. Also, Miss Schwab lost her train of thought. Oh, Blood on the River. Guys, please make sure you read chapters 3 and 4 before tomorrow, okay? We're going to continue talking about Blood on the River tomorrow in reading class. So please make sure you read chapters 3 and 4 by tomorrow if you have not already done that. Okay? So you should have chapters 1 through 4 read before tomorrow during class. I think that's all the announcements that I really have for now, other than to just make sure that you are getting your assignments done and you are not turning in anything blank. Okay? We don't want to be doing that. Alrighty, so I'm going to pull up our science slideshow and we're going to hop right on into some science. Okay. So today we are on lesson 13, I think. I believe today is lesson 13. We are almost finished with our science unit. We're actually going to be starting social studies next week. So get excited. Friday is our last day of science. Monday will be our first day of social studies. Woo! Very exciting. Okay, guys. So today, you are going to need, well, it's in your packet, but I would prefer that you use the digital version, okay? Because it's really hard for me to read when you all use the packet and then take a picture of it, especially if you write in pencil. It's really hard for me to see what you've written. So today we are on lesson, sharing my screen, here we go. Okay, we're on lesson 13. Patterns of Earth and Sky. So we're going to use this thinking about the artifact page. Okay, and I would really like it if you all could use the version of it that is in Google Classroom. Okay, so everybody needs to go ahead and go to Google Classroom, find the Science Lesson 13 assignment, and pull it up, please. Send me a smiley face in the chat when you have that assignment pulled up. All right. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. All right. Thank you, Sylvia and Maggie and Gus and Lila. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Savannah and Dom. Thank you, Camilla and Hayden. All right. Thank you, Evie. We're going to get started. Everybody else, let's get those pulled up, okay? Thank you, Mateo.
1 sec.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Elise. All righty, guys. So you should have that assignment pulled up, and we're going to hop right back into the slideshow. So today we're going to reflect on how Earth's position in its orbit determines the stars that we see at different times of year. Okay, we'll also use this idea to identify more constellations on the artifact. Okay, so keep in mind what we learned yesterday about when these constellations are visible. So we assigned a month to each constellation, and that month is when the constellation is most directly in the sky throughout the year. So keeping that in mind, we've already identified one constellation. We have identified this one as Orion, right? We did that, I think, 2 lessons ago. We identified this constellation as the constellation Orion. So now we're going to identify these other 2, and we're going to use the yearly pattern of when constellations are visible to think about the missing section over on the left. So I hope everybody got a chance. Did everybody get a chance to read through, or at least skim through?
Yes.
You know, browse the pages of that science reading on Amplify's website that I assigned you all. It was in Google Classroom. It was a constellation handbook on the Amplify website. Okay, that's fine. It was on your checklist / agenda since Monday. It's been in Google Classroom for you, but that's all right if you didn't read it. If you did read it, thank you and way to go. It was basically just like a guidebook of the different constellations, and it gave some like interesting or fun facts about the constellations, and it said what month the constellations could be seen in. And it was more than just the ones that we see in the system view in the simulation. It was all like, well, not all, but a lot of constellations. It was a lot of constellations. So, anywho, that's okay if you didn't get a chance to read it. You can always go back and look at it again later. Okay, so we're going to use this thinking about the artifact page, and we're going to already go ahead and label something. Okay, so in your assignment, we're going to label Orion. So you can see the sections here are labeled as A, B, and C. Orion is in section A. So we're going to label that section as Orion, and we're going to label when Orion is visible. Who remembers and can tell me when Orion is visible? Oh, that hand went up quick. All right, Savannah, let's hear it.
Either December 1st or October 1st.
It was December. Orion was visible in December. So you are going to write Orion on the first line, and then you will write December on the second line. Okay, so on that top line, you're going to write Orion, and on the next line, you are going to write December. I'll give everybody just a second to do that. Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide. Here we go. So we've labeled Orion. Now we're going to observe this artifact carefully. Other than the stars, what might give you evidence about the time of year in the other sections? Any ideas? I want you to pay really close attention. Look closely at the things on the artifact that you can see other than the constellations, other than the stars. What might indicate what time of year it is? Gus, I gave you those erasers as a present, not to distract you from class. Okay. So, Sylvia, what do you think?
Like those tree plant thingies.
The trees, yes. Why might the trees give away the time of year? I'm looking for a hand. Why might those trees give away the time of year? Elise, yes, tell us what you think.
Because they'll, like, if they're not green, it's like fall, or if it has snow on it, it's
Okay.
winter. But that's
This is an old artifact, so there's not really any color on it. So other than color of the trees, what would tell us what time of year it is? What happens to trees and plants?
their leaves fall off.
Their leaves fall off. So we know that this top one is Orion, right, guys? We know this top one is Orion. And you can see the trees here on the top section have no leaves. Orion is in the winter in December, right? So there's no leaves on the trees. So if you observe really carefully the other three sections, does anybody think they could start to guess what time of year these other sections are? Savannah, what do you think?
They could. The missing one has buds. Like the other trees, they all have buds, and a couple of them don't have as many buds. So it could be like, it's a couple of them are. So it's probably going like a year, around a year, like April or something.
Okay. All right. Gus, what do you think?
I can guess that the one right next to the one that Orion, the one
The one on the
the
right.
square-shaped one.
Okay.
The square-shaped one, and I think the bottom one in the corner is Big Dipper down there. That one, the one at the
Oh,
very bottom.
we're not guessing constellations. We're guessing the seasons or the time of year.
Oh, those are constellations. Whoops.
That's okay. That's okay. So if we know this one is winter, right? We know this one is winter because it's in December. Okay. And then there's to the right, you can see some leaves. Oh, but there's also some leaves missing on the right. On the bottom part, all the leaves are there. On the right, there's some leaves missing from some of these little branches. There's a couple that are missing leaves. So what season would that be? Sylvia, what season would that be?
Spring. It's either fall or spring.
So we know that in the fall, the leaves start to fall from the trees, right? So the branches that are missing some leaves, it's probably the fall. And then in the summer, the trees are nice and full with big leaves. And then over here, there's tiny little buds on the trees. So that means that the leaves are starting to grow back. So we'll figure that out in a minute. So some of the trees have leaves and others don't. So it definitely has something to do with the seasons, okay? So we're gonna try to use some evidence from the sim to identify these other two constellations. So let's start with this one. We know that this is probably in the fall because some of the leaves are missing from the trees. So we know leaves are starting to fall. Well, the simulation, if we looked back at the simulation, we would be able to see that that constellation is Pegasus, specifically the Great Square of Pegasus. So you can see there's a great big square in the sky. And we also know that Pegasus is most visible in September. September is in the fall. The fall solstice happens in September. So absolutely, this happens in the fall. This one is Pegasus. So we are going to fill in Pegasus and then the month September on our worksheets. So you all need to go, I'll stop sharing my screen, or you can just minimize my screen and go type in Pegasus for section B on your assignment. Go type in Pegasus for section B on your assignment. And make sure you put the month as September, please. While you all finish typing that up, I want you to think about the pattern between the months that we have recorded and what is shown on the artifact. So we've got Orion that happens in December and Pegasus that happens in September. What do you notice about those months? What's the relationship between those months? Any ideas? There's 12 months in a year, right? There's 12 months in a year. How far apart are December and September? How many months apart are December and September? What do you think, Gus?
December. I said twice. December and September's month apart is I think it's so there's just there's November, October, and then there's this September. So there's two, but they're there's 2 months in between since there's September, October, November, or if you're counting it as God, if you're counting it from if you're starting from or there could be 3 since September could count 2.
Let's say
So it
we're
could be-
starting on the fall solstice and we're going to the winter solstice. So that is
Right.
September 21st to December 21st. How many months is that?
That's 2. No, wait.
September
That's
to
3
October,
months.
October to November, November to December. They're 3
months.
months apart. They're 3 months apart. So in the December section, the trees don't have leaves like many trees in the winter. In the September section, the trees are either missing leaves or the leaves look ready to fall off like many trees in the autumn or fall. We haven't identified this one yet in the Mount Nose model, but based off the pattern of the first 2 sections, what do you think about the third constellation? When do you think that might occur? Based off everything we've observed. Graham?
June, July.
Okay. All right. You think it's going to be in May? Well, what makes you think that?
Because it's around, it's like part of the beginning of summer,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like in the middle, and yeah,
Okay.
and it's 4 months apart.
And it's okay, but we want them to be 3 months apart. So Sylvia, what do you think?
June. So then June.
All right. Is that what you were gonna say, Sylvia? Yeah. Yeah. So it should probably be in June, right? I'll tell you this, the summer solstice. So guys, the solstice just means it's like the changing of the seasons. The solstice is like the first official day of that season. So the summer solstice is June 21st. And it's the first official day of summer. Okay, September 21st is the first official day of fall. December 21st is the first official day of winter. And then there's also a spring solstice, of course. But anyway, so it should probably be in June because June is 3 months before September. We're going to use this reference book that some of you looked at to help us identify the third constellation. So I went ahead and found the page for us. Tell me, does this constellation look like the one on the artifact? Does that constellation look like the one on the artifact? Now, they're at different angles. Like one of them is like upside down, but do we think that they could be the same thing?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I
I
think
really don't know about that one. That's a meh.
a meh. Well, I know, Gus, you originally thought it was the Big Dipper, right? But the Big Dipper, let me draw it for you real quick, it's got a big old star up at the top. Then it's got one kind of right there. And then it has 4 that make the dipper part, makes like kind of a square shape. Okay, but this one kind of has like a rounded hook shape to it. So we know that this one, the one in the
Okay.
artifact, can't be the Big Dipper because it doesn't have that square shape to it that the Big Dipper does. So yeah, this third constellation is Scorpius. And according to the reference book, Scorpius is most visible in June. According to the reference book, Scorpius is visible in June. So now, has this confirmed our pattern of 3 months apart? Has this confirmed our pattern of constellations that appear every 3 months? It has. It has confirmed our pattern. So everybody should have Scorpius and June written down for part C of the artifact, okay? All right. So, everybody, since we know this pattern is every 3 months apart, what does that give you? What does that make you think about what's going to be on the missing piece? Missing piece of the artifact. Now that we know everything is 3 months apart, does that give you an idea of what's going to be on the missing piece? Yeah, I think it should. What do you think, Mateo?
March.
You think it's going to be in March? Yep.
Yeah, I already knew it because I counted it.
You counted it already? That's good. That's good. Hopefully it wasn't because Ms. Schwab accidentally showed the answer on the next slide there for a second. Okay. All right, guys. So yeah, it's going to be in March because March is 3 months before June, and it's 3 months after December. So it is perfectly 3 months spread apart. So in our next lesson, we are going to identify the constellation on the missing piece because we know it's going to be in March. Please, please, please. What was that? Okay, so please make sure that you complete the questions at the bottom of your assignment before you turn it in. Okay, guys? So on your assignment, make sure you are answering the questions at the bottom of your assignment before you turn it in, okay? Don't turn it in until you have answered all parts of it. Let me pull mine up real quick. There it is. Okay. Yeah, so the questions at the bottom say, what month will the missing piece show? And what is the pattern of the months when the constellations are most visible in the sky? Do not leave the meeting, please. I don't know why anybody has left already. I'm gonna start taking points off for people who don't make it to the end of the lesson. Because it is still not even 2:30 and school doesn't end until 2:45, guys. School does not end until 2:45. Who was my spotlight student this morning? Was it
Camilla.
Camilla? That's right. That's right. Thank you very much. It was Camilla. Camilla is still here. Okay, good. Good, 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 good. Okay. So you need to get those assignments, answer all those questions, and finish turning them in. And we are going to do, before Camilla signs us off, we still have 15 minutes left in the day. We still have 15 minutes left in the day. That's so much time. Do you know all the things we could do in 15 minutes? So much. So much. So while I'm pulling up the last thing that we're going to do today, I need you all to finish that assignment. And please, guys, I know I say this all the time, but please click turn in. You have to submit your assignments, please. Thank you. Just make sure you click turn in whenever you finish an assignment. Every time you should be doing that. So, boop, 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 oops. We are gonna do a Kahoot about space, but this Kahoot might not be things about space that you know already. This Kahoot might be about much bigger things than what we already know about space. Okay. So go ahead and finish up. All right. Here we go. I'm going to pull up this Kahoot here in just a second. Ooh, that one has way too many questions. Hang on, I'm trying to find one that's shorter than the one I originally found. I'll share my screen. You guys can help me choose. How about that? All right, we got lots of space. A lot of them have like 30 questions.
Yeah, do that one.
Which one? Ooh, how about this one? There's only 10 questions. And this is all of the planets.
Yes.
Let's do this one. Yes. Yes, this one. I'll find an even better one with cool pictures of the galaxies. Oh.
Hi.
I don't think I've ever seen
Our solar system.
I've never seen a Kahoot like this.
Have you ever looked up into the sky and wondered what was there?
Yeah, I have.
Higher than the birds, past the clouds, and farther than the moon, a whole host of fascinating objects spanning
Woo.
outer space. Let's imagine for a moment that we can leave the Earth behind and explore the solar system that surrounds it. We call it the solar system because everything in it is centered around the sun, and
Wow.
solar means something to do with the sun.
This is great.
The sun is a star, just like many of the stars that you can see in the night sky, just many times closer to us. Still, the sun is very, very far away from the Earth, almost 93 million miles away.
Wow.
That's why it looks so small, even though it's the biggest object in the solar system. In fact, the sun makes up more than 99% of the mass in the solar system. If you put